Morning, guys. Hope all is well. I'm just going to do a video about what I'm kind of looking at so far for the week. Just Monday, obviously, analysis changes. Monday isn't sometimes the best day, but I do like to wait for it to develop a little bit. But let's kind of see what I've looked at. So quickly on the dollar, we have now came into this daily zone that I was looking for, and you can see we pretty much came all the way back down and tested this wick. You can see super clean manipulation. This is that spring move, and then you get the shift, the break structure, and then we're just looking for the zone that caused all of this, because in the grand scheme of things, we can still be bullish from this point. Whether price is actually going to come up to then come lower, that's what I potentially think, or if we are actually just going to push it a little bit higher. But I kind of like these areas because they're like the last point of contact, or like last point where price could go before actually breaking and shifting. So you can see we mitigated at this, change this, mitigated at this zone. So there has been tests. We have had this zone, which has been invalidated. This is supply, which got invalidated. So this is the demand that invalidated this supply. So obviously we've had a really nice test of the wick, dropping it down onto the time frames. Nothing really that crucial, in my opinion. What we could maybe see is just have some move like this and just actually start taking some of this liquidity out, because there's so much that potentially needs to be tested, filled. I mean, we've got so much imbalance all within here, and we do have this really nice guy up here, which is nice to see as well. I was expecting price to come up before originally into this zone. We didn't get that. That's fine. If we just follow everything down, we had this test. So from that test, I was expecting to potentially see another dig into this zone. We didn't get that. That's fine. Price started pushing down. We pulled up, and then we pretty much just died off from there. So if price is going to come in anywhere, I want to be able to see it come into either this zone or even push high into this zone. This zone, because this is the one which is next to where our most recent low was, and you can see there would have been demand in here, which got invalidated, and we had this area of accumulation as well that I did want to see get tested. So this is definitely kind of a strong area for us to see if we could actually get some tests back up into this zone. So dollar, I'm not going to anticipate it. I do want to wait for clear breaks and things. We could easily just roll down, and that's fine. But if I do start seeing momentums like start shifting, and if we do hold below certain lows and actually get like a confirmed break, that's then when across the other board or across the other dollar pairs, we could then see that pullback and in potentially see some sort of reverse like this against the other pairs. But I'm not going to anticipate and say we are going to get break structure, but I do want to wait and confirm to see if we do actually start breaking above these highs, or if we do start getting some structure movements. US 30, nothing really that amazing in my opinion. Maybe want to see if we can probably run up and take this high again, even just giving out potential daily zones, just because this pair's sometimes not been the most fun to trade recently. If we do get some sort of run in New York and then we actually start shifting lower, that's then when I'll look for the zones in and around these zones to potentially take sells back down into these daily zones. I do think we could have some sort of reactions in and around here. We have been shifting structures, so any pullbacks to go long is still definitely valid. I did want to look for potential longs. I think it was like in and around this region, or I did look potentially around here as well. And I did want to see if we could get that run on all of these highs, but price came down and we pretty much manipulated all of it unless we created equal lows. Okay, cool, amazing. So we've created equal lows. So what we could now potentially see is prices actually raided this first high. We created liquidity, generated liquidity. This came up, we raided all of it. So now have we taken this high? So yeah, we've just taken this high. But if we drop it down a little bit on the time frames, we could, in fact, maybe see price kind of roll up a little bit more, take out these highs, dig somewhere up into here, even potentially into this zone. And then we have that continuation, maybe a little bit short. But let's see, nothing really too exciting yet. But that doesn't potentially mean that there won't be going later on in the week. I'm not sure if I don't think there's that much news this week. I could be wrong. So we will wait and see what happens potentially going into New York. US oil, I've been trying to look for a buy off this. The major buy was obviously down in this zone. You can see we started moving, accumulating. This is our breaker structure. We're just looking for the zone that caused that, either here or maybe back down into this zone. So far, we haven't accomplished any of that yet. So potential ideas are still on the board. I was waiting yesterday we had this breaker structure here. I was looking to see if price is going to come test into just this imbalance, which lines up with a 4-hourly imbalance. We didn't get it. It's fine. Doesn't always happen. So what I still could see is price could either run down into these zones, accumulate, and then push home, or we could come into here, full people, come down a little bit lower, and then run, because you can see we do have a really, really nice accumulation down here. So that's two scenarios that I do want to see. We could equally just die off and just plummet and make new lows, which is equally fine. Just from this point, though, we had really nice mitigations and continuations. We have raids. This is our push move. That last down move, that 30-minute move, is looking really, really nice for potential tests. So now I do want to see if price is going to roll back down into that 30-minute, and then even potentially just first target, look at starting taking some of these highs. We could pull a fib on this equally also to see what comes up. Okay, so that's lining up really, really nicely. So potential area for longs anywhere from kind of 72.30 to 72 flat. If we line up with 72 flat, let's see what happens. 72 flat. Cool. So that's almost next to our 30-minute zone, which I'm looking for anyway. So US 30 potential buys on here. That's looking quite nice. Gold. Gold, I'm still looking for massive longs. If you guys have been watching my videos, you would have known that I actually caught a long down here. There was a long position in here as well. There was a 1-minute entry down here. And then I was looking for this zone. If you guys don't believe me, you can go check it out. It's on the channel, I'm sure. Price pushed up. We came back down. I didn't actually get an entry in here, but I did get an entry in here. But what I am looking for now is if we can get an entry off of this 4-hour zone. So you can see this is our big down move. If we drop it into an hourly, we have this last down move. And then on a 30-minute, you can see we have this really, really clean 30-minute move. So one thing I'd spotted yesterday is if we looking at the structure, this is the lower low, lower high, lower low, not a higher high, failed to create a lower low, and then we come up and created a higher high. This is just intermediate structures. You don't need to worry about this. This is the actual move. That's the actual leg in price. So this is the orchid breaker structure. If we're looking from the low to the high, and you can see mitigation, wow, that's just so clean, honestly. Raids, big down move, starting shifting momentum with this big buy. Came back down, I'm pretty sure, right into the 50% of this volume. Yeah, right to the 50%. We pushed higher, looking for the same zone that caused this move. This was down here. Mitigations, low, boom, break of structure. This is your low, this is the high. If we pull a fib, you can see 50% where I have this 30-minute zone. 30% of this 30-minute down move lines up exactly with my fib. So obviously I'm pulling my fib from my low to my high, and this 50% lines up super nice with my 786. So I am definitely going to be looking for places to buy in and around this zone. We can even pull a fib from this whole area. Doesn't really line up with anything too much, but you can see it's all in and around the same area. So this is already really nice to see. Targets are going to be these highs. What I don't want to see is, and I think this could happen, which is a shame, but that's fine. If we could have something like this, that's fine. I would much rather have all of this liquidity still resting, because when price does come down here, that's going to be just a bit more of a confirmation that I do want to see price run through it, even if we don't run it way higher, but especially into these highs. Now, it's quite a big call out, but I may be expecting price to come back up into 2K. I do want to see if we can just test this whole accumulation again, this distribution, sorry. You can see this whole move is just a distribution. Manipulation, manipulation, manipulation. This is your UTAD, UTAD breaker structure, looking for a test of that UTAD test, and then maybe continuations back down lower into our 3-day zone in here. But you can see our 2000 zone lines up really nicely with a few that 3-day imbalance. So anywhere back up into this zone is going to be nice to see. So I am waiting for pullbacks long into around 1920 flat, probably in and around this zone, to be looking for potential longs. Silver as well. If any of you have been watching my silver, I was expecting this silver to come back up into this zone. We absolutely destroyed that. And you would also know that I got a really clean fucking entry on silver. Boom, entry, and then just hold it. We had another entry off a 15-minute zone, which was really clean as well. There we go. Really nice. Boom, first entry, second entry. We had NFP this day. Price came down, tested all of the zone that was all of this manipulation. We tested it, and then we just continued and absolutely ran. So my actual target on this, because this is our break structure, I was looking for a high and a low. We did actually come into the 23 AA, or basically 24 flat. But you can see we absolutely demolished that, and we could maybe now be coming up definitely into 25.50. I am looking for, what am I looking at? This 3-day move in here, kind of just breaking all of this down. Again, if we take the 50% of this, you can see this 50% is lining up with something, I believe it's the 4-hour. Yeah, so we have a really nice 4-hour zone, and we have a really, really nice 1-hourly zone. A really nice 1-hourly zone, just this big buy. You can see liquidity, buy, demand, break, just didn't come up and test. So we could very much well come up and test anywhere into here. I am looking for longs, obviously. If price is going to come all the way back down here, that's a bit of a stretch, if I'm going to be honest. We have the same 30-minute zone as what's on gold, all the way back down in here. We could very much well test that, but I feel like that's quite a big ask to come all the way down here, even if we pull a fib. Yeah, even like it's potentially quite a big ask, but we will see. We will see. Stranger things have happened, but we have had this confirmed breaker structure, so any sort of pullback to go long is definitely what we need. And I can use this low. Okay, cool. So maybe definitely using from, this is our low, this is our high, lower low, breaker structure and confirm. This is our confirmed lower high. Breaker structure, just looking for the zone that caused that. Well, we are definitely going to be looking in and around this zone. So even potential shorts on silver for the time being could be a possibility. Euro pounds, I'm still waiting for these lows to get ran. We came up and tested a weekly zone previously with this move, but what you can see, we did run and we did mitigate out of this guy more. We ran this high, obviously, this morning. So now any kind of move back to the downside and take out these lows is what I am going to be looking at. If there is potential opportunities, I do want to see if I can get in on some, but I don't like all of this. I just think it's disgusting. It's not clean. It's just a run to be taken out, in my opinion. Pound Swiss in a position on this. 4-hourly. We ran out these first lows with this first single wick, and then we kind of looked like we were looking to kind of accumulate from this zone. I maybe do think, obviously, we've had a break of structure. If we are going to look at this from the low to the high, 50% is what we could, or we could potentially just be waiting for. I know we do have all of these highs resting in here that I did want to see get taken, and we do have this move in here, which I was expecting to get met with this and then come lower, but we didn't get that. But that doesn't mean that price still maybe couldn't actually have a massive run and then actually come back down. There are other zones all in here, which price potentially could react from. First of all, we have this big guy in here. But that doesn't mean that price couldn't even run all of this from last Friday, and we have this Asia high as well. We couldn't come break structures, mitigate around here, let the banks close all their orders in here, pull back somewhere, and then actually run higher. That could potentially be a possibility, or we are bearish, so we could just run a little bit lower. But for me, it all depends on how the liquidity is left within this zone, because if I'm going to see it roll, that's a sign to me that there's going to be a lot of people being able to sell at this point. So there's going to be a lot of sellers. And I do think that we could have a bit of a run on it. Again, if it just rolls, I do want to see if price could actually at least run back up into the highs. But again, if we do have a really, really nice distribution, then I'm not going to hesitate to take shorts. But for the time being, though, we did run last week's low, just literally kissed it. So from this point, I was actually looking for longs from here. I had a position took me out earlier, that's fine, but I did have the idea that we could have literally just ran down into this low. So that is what we did do. As soon as we ran down from that low, we kind of had this bit of a sharp buy. This is what I was looking for. Price came down on like a 1 minute, just got a tight entry in here with literally a 4-pip stop loss. Price came up again. We mitigated from this zone. Cool. We had a small supply zone in here, which shifted. We broke. Price has now come back down and tested into that zone. And you can see we are kind of slowly pushing higher, whether if price wants to come down here one more time, and then we have a bit more of a push. But like I said, this is only a 4-pip stop loss. This is not my full risk. So I'm very much happier to take trades like this if I do think the potential opportunity could be there, because even if you don't place your whole risk, I mean, this trade is a 1 to 19, even just up into those highs. And that doesn't mean that other entries can't be taken, i.e. from here. You could potentially go an entry from here. But I'm risk-free at this trade at the moment, so my entry is, my stop loss is at break even, so it's probably in and around here anyway. So whatever happens, that's fine. But I do want to see slow and short continuations back up to the upside, because I don't really like all of these highs resting. I think that's just going to be a massive target. I did think going into London, we were going to kind of like run it and then kind of push a bit higher and have like a big sell to buy movement. So far, it's been a little bit slow, but we have had some sort of movement. So let's see what kind of happens with this. AUD USD. I am still looking for, well, first of all, I was looking for buys in around this zone, but so far I was actually still looking for buys. Had really nice buys last week in this zone off here. We had the lows run, we had a shift in momentum, looking for the zone that caused that shift. This was down here. Targets were only up into this point. So there was a 1 to 8. We absolutely smashed that. We started pushing higher. Now, we had this supply here, which then got invalidated by this demand. But really and truly, when you're looking at it, did it actually? Because I feel like a lot of people are going to be looking for buys here. And don't get me wrong, like we very much well could, price could just come down, test, and we continue. That's fine. But we first of all broke out of here first, and then we just look for, and then price looked for pullback. This demand didn't actually invalidate this, because this supply already got invalidated before this sell move actually happened. Now, where the actual full mitigations start happening, this is from this wick, and we have this zone down here. So I'm very much looking more to this point than I am going to be looking at potentially buy to this point. And let's break it down and I'll show you why. So this was some news, not all the time, but sometimes whenever there's like a news release, there's going to be a lot of people buying in these situations. And again, you can see whether before the news, there was no raid, which meant there was going to be a lot of people potentially buying here, and then we just pumped. Again, here, there was no like massive raid, and we didn't really mitigate or test back down into this candle, and there's still even a 30-minute zone that I'm looking for in and around here. So I think if price for the rest of the week can just make some slow correction move down, I think we'll get something like this, and then price will actually maybe start heading back up to the upside. So you could very much well see some reactions from this zone, but just because of the way the lows are, I could be very much wrong. And if you guys have your own confirmations to look for buys from here, then do it. But personally, I don't like these lows. I don't like this low. And I think we could still maybe get a test from this zone, because this is where all the tests and things actually started happening. We had raids, test, raid, mitigations, generation of liquidity. I did want to see a pullback to go long. Even the longs from here, I mean, that fib was lining up so nicely, and then we continued higher. So if I am going to be doing any sort of buying, I would definitely want to see price do something like this. We have the full mitigations, and then we look for a test of something to go long. Failing that, if we don't, I think we could just kind of come back down into this zone and then push a bit higher. So just keep it in mind. But that is all I'm looking at so far for this week. If you guys got any questions, please let me know. Feel free to fire away, and I will help everyone as much as I can. All right, guys.